Pre-ignition is different. In pre-ignition, there's actually hot spots. If you get an engine that's burning a lot of oil and you get a lot of carbon built up, instead of the heat that's in there absorbing into the piston or the cylinder walls, the carbon, since it's not really attached very well, will retain the heat and actually will glow. And you'll get a chunk of carbon that's glowing hot, and as the piston comes up, it raises the temperature in the combustion area. And in any auto industry, any auto gasoline vehicle, you're drawing an air and a fuel. And there's three things that I need for ignition. I need air, I need fuel, and I need fire. And anything that will create the fire, which in this case is a hot spot, that piece of carbon that's glowing, as soon as it gets hot enough, you have ignition. And so if you've got a lot of carbon in there, this hot spot can start to flame. You've got a piston that's traveling up, it's compressing this mixture. It fires before the piston reaches the top. And what you're actually doing is taking a flame that's expanding and try to compress it. So look at an explosion. If you got a bomb and it explodes, take that explosion and try to shrink the explosion. That's really what your piston is trying to do. So you got this tremendous amount of energy being released from the fuel that you're trying to compress down into a little small area. And that's going to cause your engine to knock or ping. And so if you're running a vehicle that's pinging and knocking and you don't fix it, there will be serious damage taking place. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe in a couple of weeks or months. It is damaging it slowly, and it will eventually break eventually. And so you don't want to be operating a vehicle with these two problems. Usually what happens with these two problems, that necessarily honing them out, what will happen is it'll actually knock a hole through your piston. It'll break the rings. It'll erode through the side of the cylinder piston, and you get blow-by. Just your blow-by will increase because it starts cracking and breaking things. And so holes in piston and broken rings are very common with either one of these problems. And it doesn't take very long. It'll actually just, I mean, they're talking about a tremendous amount of pressure and energy. What happens when I get gasoline or water in gasoline? The biggest thing that happens if you have a metal tank is it rusts everything up. You open the gas cap and you look in there and it's like, holy cow, that's bad. And it's all rusted. You try to operate it, the rust works down through, plugs the cylinder, or plugs the filter, plugs your carburetor orifices and stuff, and it just, things don't work anymore. And if you have a problem with a rusty tank, the easiest solution for this is to replace the tank. And that can be kind of expensive. The other thing is there are some solutions out there. You take the tank off, you throw a handful of nuts in there, and you shake it around, it breaks the rust that's flaky, breaks it off. And then there's a treatment. You put it in there and it etches itself, and then you put another, it's like a kit. And one's an etch, and then one actually coats it and seals it up again. It's almost as time consuming and as expensive as buying a new tank, unless it's a tank you can't get. And so unless it's really expensive, it's cheaper just to buy a tank.
How do you get water in your gas tank?
How do I get water in my tank? The little hole that's in my gas cap that you vent, there's the first way of getting it there. If you're power washing and you're pressure washing it, even if the vent goes under the cap, you force it up there. The tank, little storage container you have, people get water, they leave it sitting outside. There's another big way. The other way is if I park a vehicle outside and it gets warm in the daytime, air expands and it's going to push the air out of your fuel tank, and then at night it cools off and it draws it in. If the air that's surrounding it has moisture in it, you just drew moisture in. And over a couple of weeks, it's going to accumulate. And so it's a natural phenomenon. You don't even notice it if you operate it all the time, because it will pass through. You will get it to go through. But water comes in a lot of forms. So the cap, having a crack in your gas cap, is the fastest way to get it in there, but a natural heating and cooling process draws it in there.